What future does the self-employed estate agency model have in the next 10 years? Today, I'm joined by Chris Webb, who actually used to work for a self-employed estate agency model, but now he's an estate agency guru. And he's here to talk to me about his opinion on this model. Chris, talk to me about self-employed estate agency in the next 10 years.
Absolutely. So it's fantastic to see over the last few years, especially how much the self-employed model has just grown and gone from strength to strength. I know you've got the EXPs of the world, the Keller Williams, the estate agencies of the world that are going from strength to strength, which is absolutely fantastic to see. And I can't see that slowing down in any time in the near future. I think the one thing that is going to happen, though, is that on the sort of self-employed direction at the moment, you've got the self-employed model, which I see is historically, go back a couple of years or so, it was effectively a cheap way to get onto Rightmove, Zoopla, and have a CRM system included with it. And then you had a franchise model, which was more expensive to go into. You might spend 20,000 quid to get your franchise model signed up. But you get a lot included with that, things like your marketing, your website, training, support, development, all that sort of stuff included with that. I think the gap over the years now is getting closer and closer and closer. I think the self-employed models are taking on board, well, some of them anyway, are taking on board more and more of the elements of a franchise model. They're actually bringing more and more of that to the party. So I see the gap actually shrinking and shrinking, and more self-employed estate agency businesses having development teams and support and training and everything they need to do to make sure as many of their self-employed agents succeed and their businesses go forward in the future.
I find it fascinating that at least 3 out of 10 self-employed estate agents who start in self-employed estate agency are not there a year later,
Yep.
whilst the number in franchising is much lower.
Yep.
What could self-employed estate agency learn from the franchise model?
Yep.
Because you've been in both.
Absolutely. It is the support and ongoing development. I think that a lot of the self-employed models, it is, here's your Rightmove account, here's your CRM model, best of luck. Fingers crossed, pray for the best. I think that, as I mentioned, the gap is getting smaller, and so the models are getting more and more supportive and more development on that side to shrink that down. Because I don't care who you are, when you start your own estate agency business, one of the concerns you have is, am I going to make it? And you could be the best valuer, negotiator, branch manager in the world. There's always going to be 1%, 10%, 50% of your thoughts. I think to myself, what's my chance of this not going correct?
Isn't it interesting that most franchise models attract people who are not estate agents?
Yep.
And therefore have a lower failure rate.
Yep.
Do you think there is a link there?
There's definitely a correlation, without a doubt. So I think that on the franchise model, where there's a higher bar of entry with regard to monetary side of things, primarily, you need to be going for it. And there's, it's not like you can just turn up on a Monday and go, I feel like being an estate agent today, let's give it a go. So you need to have that behind you to start off with. But also
that does sound quite disingenuous to the guys and boys and girls that join EXP and Keller Williams and others to say that they don't want it on.
No, I'm certainly not saying that. It's a higher financial bar of entries, therefore they are more invested, potentially financially, definitely, in their future going forward with. If you're on a Keller Williams and EXP side of things, absolutely you want it to work and want it to go forward, but there isn't that same high bar of entry there would be with a franchise model, for example.
I mean, at the moment, self-employed estate agency covers probably about 2.5% of UK estate agency listings and sales.
Yep.
Is it worth talking about the model when it's only such a small percentage?
I think absolutely. I think that is going to be I don't say the future of estate agency, because that is a very sweeping statement. Is that small percentage going to grow over the coming months, years, and decades? Absolutely. I think that, if you look at the growth of someone like EXP, for example, it's really getting some speed. And that is that cumulative effect. They're up to, what, 500 agents or so at the moment, effectively. That is going to grow and grow and grow. So in the not too distant future, that'll be at 10% pretty sharply, I would imagine, in the next couple of years.
But if you actually look at the numbers, say, of EXP, most estate agents are probably only selling 2 or 3 properties.
Yep.
I think it's about 3.5. It's not a lot.
No, absolutely. I think there's very much a expectations versus reality conversation there. If you go onto any social media platform, LinkedIn, Instagram, whatever it may be, and you look at most self-employed estate agents, you would go, oh, well, they've got a Porsche and they've just sold this house for 2 million quid. They've got a 20 grand commission coming in. When the reality is 90% of people are far more hand to mouth than that 10% you're looking at.
Where do you think self-employed estate agency could get better in their marketing to bring more people into the, you know, there is quite obviously, there is one model that has been mentioned
Yep.
before that has been accused of being, and I'm not accusing them in any way, a pyramid selling scheme.
Yep.
It isn't, by the way.
Hmm.
But do you think it's fair that you get paid to bring other people in?
I think that the best model for bringing people into your estate agency business is have everyone to earn a lot of money. Your best advert for your estate agency and for your self-employed model is to go, I have a Ferrari, you can have a Ferrari too.
Depends if you want a Ferrari.
Well, yeah, I use that as an example. You don't want a Range Rover. Okay. So that is going to be you earning a lot of money in your business and having a good balance between life and social life, etc. is going to be the number one thing that is going to draw people to you to recruit more people into your brand. So the more the estate agency partnerships can get successful agents within their realms, but also ones that succeed. You want to have a high a success rate on board with your estate agent as you possibly can do, and them earning as much money as possible. If that is your model, that you have a 100% success rate, for example, and they all earn £100,000 a year, that is your recruitment policy sorted.
So what you're saying is that the self-employed models have a greater responsibility to train and develop their boys and girls on the front line.
Yep.
What responsibility do the individual self-employed agents have got to do to ensure that they're not in the 30% that fail in the first year?
Yeah, absolutely. So it is a two-way street. As much as someone might bring you into the self-employed model, for example, they can't drag you around properties, they can't drag you around your viewings, they can't drag you around your valuations and make sure you succeed. There's only so much they can do. Now, there needs to be an element of wanting to make it work and wanting to grow yourself within yourself. Otherwise, it's not going to work. If you're just turning up and giving it a go, it's not for you. You'll be in that 3 out of 10, I absolutely guarantee it. Whereas if you have a drive to go, it's this or nothing. This is what I need to do, and this is what I need to do to get to that stage, then you'll make it work.
I find there's a large minority who are bloody good on the proverbial sofa of converting free vals, but have lost the skill and the hunger whilst working for their corporate estate agency bosses, that when they leave, they kind of say, well, I've got 6 months money behind me, the money will come, the listings will come flooding through. What would your message be to those?
Yeah, absolutely. So you go from one sort of animal to a next on that side. So you've gone from a business where the phone rings and you walk into the office, and because you've got a high street branch, or you've been there for 20 years, or you've got an old database, for example, your phone will ring and people will phone you up and say, can you have a market appraisal? You launch your own estate agency business today, that is not going to happen. Your phone is not going to ring. You need to go out and get it. If you're going to sit there and wait for the phone to ring, you'll be waiting for a very long time.
What would your message be to anyone who is incentivized to bring other people in to the model so they get a kickback?
I would focus on that. The biggest selling point of joining that model should be them succeeding personally. So they should be going, I sold 10 properties last month, and this is what I brought on board because I did this, 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 and this. Come on board with me. I'll bring you under my wing, and I will tell you exactly what I did to those stages so you can then replicate what I've done.
Yeah, but hardly anyone does that.
They should.
And that's my message to you, ladies and gentlemen, in those sort of models, is if you're going out there touting people to come under your wing, don't do it because you're going to get a kickback. Actually say, look, I'll be your mentor and guru and guide. I will get a proportion of your commission, but this is what you will get in return. And I think a lot of you could learn a lot from that. Would you agree?
100%, 100%. Because there's no point you bringing people on board and them just not working out. A, that's very bad for the person who's come on board, but B, it isn't great for you either. If you're just showing you're kind of throwing it out the wall and fingers crossed it sticks, you want to say, right, come on board with me. Yes, I haven't got 50 people who work underneath me. I've only got 10, but all 10 of those are doing absolutely brilliantly because of this, 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 and this. And I support them in these various ways, and this is why they'll succeed.
And I'm doing it myself.
Absolutely.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think you could learn a lot from that last few minutes. Thank you for your time today, Chris.
Thank you.